China's parliament has accepted Xi Jinping for a other period and equipped Wang Qishan as his defect president. The voting at the Domestic Human Beings' Convention solidly adopted Mr. Xi time Mr. Van acquired 2,969 votes in favor and just 1 versus. Wang Qishan was previous in accusation of corrupt practices investigations in China. He is a longtime friend of CEO Xi and his height is creature seen as a future consolidating of the China leads force. The latter abolishment of period framework for the China chairmanship extends to the defect presidency, give her the stance more importance rather than up. China's basic law allows the defect president to help in his excellence job and to conduct out president duties on his name. Importance Wang Qishan, perhaps in his part for lifetime, could be far more than rather than the shill his predecessors were. Mr. Van, 69, has detained a quantity of visible official position with start job for the China communistic side in the 1980s as a politics investigator. He became mayoress of Beijing for the atypical pneumonia outburst down there in 2003, and was execution armchair of the town's Olympic board front of the 2008 Games. In 2007, he united China's Politburo and in 2009 became later President Hu Jintao's head mediator in trading negotiations in the U.S. Yet, Mr. Van is top named for his largest latter position, Guideline China's Against Corruption Inquiry. The campaigning, controllable by Mr. Van as chief of the Center Committee for Subject Examination, was start up in 2012 by the later again equipped side lead, Xi Jinping. For CEO Xi's at first 5-year in office space, millionth officials at top and low levels, human beings Mr. Xi disparaged as tigers and flies, were driven downward by corrupt practices and discipline extortion. Mr. Van, according to reports a boyfriend of Mr. Xi's of their youthful, led the accusation, proper a afraid authority for the Xi authority. The end of period framework and the selection of such a visible side term as Mr. Van could indicate a changing in which the part represents, analysts tell. Mr. Van's expertise negotiations in the U.S. on economy is considerable, taking into account U.S. CEO Donald Trump card's plans for tariff. Hua Pio, an freelance China policy columnist, said AFP news story agent his assignment may be to enable Mr. Van and Mr. Xi to fight CEO Trump card. Addition, perhaps they'll be capable to go up in a decision for the large brewery tempest in America on imbalances and tariff. And his proximity to CEO Xi could indicate he will do the stance his their own. Wang Qishan will add material to the part of defect president, he told. Same correction of the basic law has grown the statute of the chairmanship, and the defect presidency will as well gain of how.